Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
The Johnnie Bobbo Show on late. You can follow us at LN Sports Radio, also at Johnnie Bobbo. That's all going to be on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me at least on Instagram at Malioris, Malioris. I'm Johnnie Malioris. We have Keith Grieve right now filling in here for Bob Sullivan because Bobbo. Again, man, he can't handle it. I don't think. I think I may be too mean to him. Do I need to like lighten up on him a little bit? Stop picking on him.
I don't know. He was awfully cranky today on the text message.
Oh God, I know, and he's so vulgar.
Awfully,
I mean, at least
he's awfully sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, at least he can keep that like at least to somewhat of a calm when he's on air. I mean, his first shows though, man, he was filthy. I was scared to be on the radio with him sometimes.
Oh, you mean the era where he stood me up for my mock draft?
Yeah, no, that would probably be the same one. I think, like I said, our very first when we did the his third birthday for the show. And by the way, did Late Night Sports Radio just have a birthday or no?
No, not till September. We were on the air in September.
Ah, okay, yeah. Well, Skype is a liar then because that's what it told me. Skype told me it was your birthday yesterday or 2 days ago.
Well, it's my birthday. It was my birthday.
Oh, your birthday?
Personally, my birthday on the 3rd. I may have put.
Hey, Keith.
Hey, thanks, appreciate it. I may have put my birthday in for Skype, so I had something to create the account with.
Yeah, way to go. That's well. I mean, honestly, you can't put the date of like the actual year because then you'd probably be like 2 years old, 3 years old, 1 year old.
Right.
Then you can't get access to things when you're.
If I'm going to be
one, you know what I mean?
If I'm going to be 39, I'm going to get all the freaking credit for it. Just saying.
Well, I mean, that would be good. You can probably come up with, I mean, I don't know if you have any, bad credit or not, but if you're only 3 years old, you got a lot of time to work on it, right?
Yeah, theoretically.
It's an awesome home loan. But, yeah, I can. That's what I do. I process home loans. It's very fun. I do focus on the details, sir.
Where were you last year when I was buying my house?
Oh, man. And you know what? Actually, Roger, I think we got people out that way.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
What company?
Yeah. Homeside Financial, LLC, sir.
Don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a fun thing, dude. I really enjoy it. I was gonna do the whole loan officer route, obviously being personable and having really goofy hair. It's pretty. I rhyme people with Elvis sometimes or Sam Cookie Burns. I get Ace Ventura, Johnny Bravo, hence the Johnny Bobbo thing. No, I honestly I hear it all. I'm honestly probably the most. The compliment by that I hold most dear was I went to 70s night at Comiskey Park, well, U.S. Comiskey or whatever they want to call it.
U.S. Cellular Field.
You got it, dude. And so no, I ended up going there, and the woman at the door told me I looked like a young Patrick Swayze. I was very, very honored to have heard that.
Wow, Roadhouse.
You got it. Roadhouse. It's such an underrated movie. I mean, yeah, it's really funny, but honestly, if you're a bouncer, there's some lessons to be learned in that movie.
Well, a training manual on how to be a bouncer.
Yes, exactly. And and I felt good about it because I ended up I was a bouncer. I told you at that bar up in northern Michigan, and so I was doing all that prior to me actually having seen the movie. And so when I was watching the movie, I was like, hey, I do all those things. I'm pretty good. Yeah, it made me feel like a good person for a minute. It was nice. But anyways, being a good person, let's talk about some of these NL Pagoda ratings here. And basically, Apparently, you were unfamiliar. You said you consider yourself a sabermetrics guy to some degree.
My God, I
But,
feel like I
you've-
should. I feel like I should go do.
Notice?
I feel like I should go do push-ups or something for not knowing about this. Seriously.
Yeah. Geez, that or like maybe you need to like total up like box scores from like the entire 1917 season. I don't know for somebody.
You know what stinks? Because you're as big a baseball fan as I am, but even though I didn't know about this, so don't hold that against me, please. There's no place to go to just get box scores anymore. Like when I was a kid and I started following baseball, the way that I learned, the players of the game and who was doing what, who was good and who was bad, was the inside page of the sports page had nothing but box scores, no recaps, just box scores. And it had the averages for the player and everything like that. And as much as the age of information gives us all of the recaps and it's great and all the highlights and everything like that, sometimes I just want just the stats.
Yeah, and that's all fine. And see, that's your problem, man. You're all the way out in Rochester, New York, and now I know everything's better. In New York, you guys are the best from what I understand. I hear it all the time.
You've clearly never been to Rochester.
Aren't you people all rich out in Rochester?
No, that's Western. You're confused. See, this is the thing. Everyone thinks that upstate New York is this magical place, and it's anything north of Long Island. We're Western New York. We need to secede, actually, and become our own state, because all that mess down there that happens southeast of us doesn't really affect us.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's I've watched enough Seinfeld to understand that, upper New York, that's where it's at. But but what works for me is now I'm a big I take hand notes. I told you, the whole thing with behind Malioris's moleskins is, I handwrite these notes, and they're my own weird little system with all tabs and different colored pens and these, strange, quad ruled books. Okay. So everything's really weird in particular. And that's just kind of me. But what that comes down to is that I use, the newspaper quite a bit. And, I never thought I'd read this much in my life. That's all I do is read. And that's how I'm able to kind of keep up on all this stuff, even though, as difficult as it is. But, a big part of, what I do is, again, it's nice to have the summaries, you know what I mean? And like you'll get that, but on the same page, you'll have not only the transactions and that, and maybe some random notes from around the league that were, kind of things that you might want to, read up on in terms of player getting injured or, something random happening. You still have the box scores. You still get the box scores in the Chicago Tribune, the Sun-Times. I'm not too sure kind of what they're doing. They're kind of always seems to be in flux in terms of who owns them and kind of what route they're trying to do. They're always trying to do something innovative just because, newspapers are going by the wayside. But, technology, all that does is augment my work. It just makes things a little bit easier sometimes. But, I like to have it, in ink on paper so that way I don't have to worry about, a battery or, something loading or not having internet connection or some kind of problem. You never have to worry about that when you got plus your work down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, whatever, man. I know you're probably part of the technology world like everybody else. That's I guess now this generation, they're called what, the I generation?
Or Generation Y.
Generation Y. Well, no, that's ending. It's all the new ones now. All these young bucks, all the 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. They're all the I generation. They don't even know how to use a newspaper. You hand them a magazine, they try, flipping it like they would, the screen on their iPad.
They all think they're better at multitasking when they're really just better at getting distracted.
Yeah, little jerks. But anyways, so speaking of little jerks, Philadelphia Phillies, I'm not really sure what's going on with that team, man. They're constantly, talking about, adding, they still feel like they're competitive and things just kind of keep falling apart all the way around them. And they just haven't really made any significant moves this offseason. So that's why I'm not really all that surprised to see how low that they ranked in the Pacotas. They have them basically down for 70 wins and 92 losses. And so, how that relates, that transition there, calling them jerks is just, it always seems like there's some kind of screen on, on trying on what they're going to do, in terms of, we're going to add guys, and they keep spending foolish money, and they talk about getting younger, and they never get any younger. They just keep adding all these different veterans. They end up signing, obviously it's only a smaller deal, but Jeff Francoeur, they signed Xavier Paul. Marlon Byrd, they ended up getting rid of. They ended up trading him to Cincinnati. But when they keep adding all these players, it just it doesn't really add up. I'm not really sure what route they're going. They're obviously lowering their payroll, where they kind of peaked. 2014 they ended up at $177 million, but that was similar to the 172 they spent in 2012. But now a lot of it is them trying to get out from underneath a lot of this big money. So they have guys. They ended up moving Jamie Rollins. They ended up having Ryan Howard. Who they're possibly going to end up moving him as well. Obviously Cole Hamels is centered around a lot of trade rumors, and so it's just a matter of when Ruben Amaro is actually going to pull the trigger and kind of make these things happen. Because honestly, I think it's unfair to just to kind of leave Ryan Sandberg here with such a dead squad. Don't you think?
They're definitely a team in transition. How long that transition takes, is it? It's Philadelphia. I mean, they were good for a really long time, but does anybody remember how long it took them to get good? Between there, Len Dykstra was your leader in '93 with Darren Dalton and John Kruk, and then there really wasn't a really good Phillies team for another 10 years. So is Ryan Sandberg going to be around in 10 years if they don't win? I don't think so. Right,
so, and it's just something you need to address now.
Yeah, and you can't tell me Sandberg don't know baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. Right. Yeah, it's just God, it is fun to think about the Mickey Morandini days, isn't it? Though for a half a second.
The best part about Mickey Morandini was that pathetic playoff beard he used to grow.
Oh man, it was almost like Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane has a really pathetic playoff beard. That's all we've seen the guy doing here in Chicago, is to go to the playoffs. So it's kind of fun to see the goofy looking thing. But I mean, they've tried everything. At least, so he might have grown like the playoff mullet, but he just had a mullet, so he didn't. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, and they signed players like Chad Billingsley and Aaron Harang. I mean, they had positive WAR ratings last year, so it's not god awful, but the star power is diminishing. And Ryan Howard, if this team is atrocious at the All-Star break, do you think somebody won't make an offer for Ryan Howard? And if you're the Phillies, do you take it?
I would have to at that point. I'm not really sure what else you're going to do, right?
If he's healthy and again, Citizens Bank Park is a bandbox, so just because you can hit home runs there doesn't necessarily translate to every park. But if he's healthy and hitting home runs, and you get to the All-Star break, and the Phillies are, 10, 15 games under 500 with no hope of turning it around, if you're the Phillies, do you make that trade? If somebody calls and says, hey, we need to rent a bat for a year?
Right. No, I would absolutely entertain deals for him. Same thing goes for Papelbon. Same thing, even more particular, almost the same story as Howard is Chase Utley. These guys are getting old. Utley right now and Jimmy Rollins and Howard, these guys are all 34, 35 years old. So I don't know how much longer you think they're going to hang around. And now you have Papelbon, he's 33. This, he's kind of a spaz, so I don't mind him being stranded on a garbage team. But he's a relatively good reliever still, but he's just he's stuck there, and now it's kind of seeing the interesting things that are happening within the same division here with Atlanta. They're basically placed at 73 wins, which is right above them, and they ended up having John Hart take over, and he pretty much did a lot of moving around, and it's kind of going to be interesting to see how everything kind of pieces together here. They ended up moving Evan Gaddis, moved pretty much their entire starting rotation for the most part. A lot of those guys are gone. And so we'll kind of see, what's going to happen there. But again, I think it was smart of John Hart, at least in terms of, taking it seriously enough to say, what, if we're going to do this, let's just do it now. So where you can kind of try to rebuild on the fly. But, he's getting rid of a lot of those bigger pieces that would help them be contributors, at least for a more consistent period of time. He's getting rid of those guys now just to kind